for the art medium project, I decided to do it on something that I am familiar with and have been around for the last like 4 years, and I decided to do my project on stage lighting. So just about stage lighting, it is obviously used in a lot of different areas of theater in the artistic world. I'm more familiar with the theater, using it in theater, but they also use it for concerts or any like production where you're using a theater. So it could be like a talk or anything, lighting is involved. But specifically for theater, it really sets the scene, the tone for a scene and something playing out on stage, and it probably is one of the most effective ways to show what's going on in a scene besides like a set. So for example, on the picture on the left, they're obviously portraying a sunset on the back screen, which is something it would be harder to portray without lighting. And they focus the lighting more downstage, where the people are sitting, to really bring attention to them. And they casted shadows on the set in the back to also give the effect that it is the sunset. For the picture on the right, there's a lot of spotlights in the center, creating this pattern on the ground, which does create a much more like dramatic effect and more focused effect. So if somebody was standing in that center, it would bring all the attention to whoever was standing in the center. So it really plays a huge effect on what is going on the stage, and it really sets like a mood or a tone. So a little bit about the history of stage lighting. Like a lot of things, it originated in Rome, and theaters would be facing east to west, so that in the afternoons when plays were going on, actors could perform and the natural light would hit them. So that was like the first way to really use lighting in theater, and it wouldn't affect the audience. Kind of like how, I know all theaters are different, but at the Sage Theater, all the lighting comes from up high and above the audience, so it doesn't shine in their faces. We have some lighting on the ground, but most of our lighting is above the audience, so it doesn't get in their faces, kind of like how they did it in Rome. In England and in Europe, but this was mostly in England, they used candles for stage lighting when theaters became indoor, and they were more like, and they used that to light up the stage, but the candle wax would drip on the actors and the audience, and it became a safety hazard, so they had to stop doing that. But at the time, it really worked to focus the light on stage and make the audience darker. And then limelight was used, which is a gas flame used to heat up a cylinder of calcium oxide, and it would reflect light through the stage. And this method was used until electricity was used in the theaters. So there's obviously a lot of different types of lighting, but I'm going to talk about like the four main ones. So first is floodlights, which floodlights illuminate very large portions of the stage. We have these in the black box at school, and these are probably more commonly used, and it really, it's soft, so it's not super bright and super like in your face. We more use it to give like a soft, like not so dramatic effect. Soft lamps diffuse light, it's kind of like a floodlight, and it again it's not as dramatic and harsh, it's more just like soft. Broad lights are small lights in a box container with one lamp used to lighten shadows, also has a minimal effect. We have these on the grid at stage, but we also have them on the ground in the wings, and they're used to kind of just like bring minimal amounts of light on stage from the wings, from the side, so it gives like a different effect. And then of course the one that most people have heard of is a spotlight, which projects beams of light onto the stage, and it's super strong, and you use them usually when you want the attention to go to one person. So I really wanted to talk about the black box and kind of my experience with stage lighting, because I've been kind of mentioning it throughout this whole voiceover. So we're really lucky because our black box is like totally state of the art, and it's really nice and like really massive. And the picture on the right shows the grid, which is where we hold a vast majority of lighting that we use in the theater. Alongside of this, there's also lighting like the boxes on the ground and the wings, and also on the screen behind the stage, we can also display lighting on there, which gives us some really cool effects. And the booth is where all this lighting control happens. So the booth is a space above the theater that holds 2 spotlight rooms, a light board, and a sound room. And lighting cues control all of the lights over the stage, on the ground. Like any lighting used is controlled by our light board. And for the most recent show that we did, Mamma Mia, we had over 500 cues, which is like a ridiculous amount of cues. And it was really fun, but like it was a lot of cues to manage. So my job as a stage manager is to sit next to lightboard operator, which was Sam Cohen, and I would call the show. So I would say, stand by, light cue 35, light cue 35, go, right when it needed to go. So that was what I did, and that's how I'm kind of involved with stage lighting. For my art piece, I decided to make a marquee that says "The Studio at Stage presents Mamma Mia" because that show means a lot to me. And the circles are supposed to be like the lighting that you see. And so that was my way of connecting theater and lighting, and also like my connection to it. And I decided to do 2 spotlights going over it to kind of give like that old Hollywood like red carpet effect. And that was just another way of tying in lighting to this art piece. And then this is my works I did, and that's it.